Chapter 5 Cybernetic Futures. I'm sorry. The Tasmanian devil shakily placed his empty revolvers in his pockets. I think this is a bad idea. He stared over at his accomplice, the gray Arctic fox. Selima Hoyes dismissed his trepidation in favor of staring at her nude look in the mirror. Recently, she dyed her fur a copper color, and her wig was a confluence of bronze-hued braids. We've gotten away so far. Put on your mask and glasses. Are you sure? The devil asked as he placed on his disguise. 4 hits in 3 days? Aren't we pushing it? Look, Basil. Selima grew impatient. The cops have nothing on you. You have no prior records. I keep changing disguises, and there's no way they'll ever know we're working together. It's foolproof, just like I said in all those letters I sent you from prison. Basil Skinner had indeed fallen in love with a repeat offender known as Selima Hoyes via pen pal letters in Midland's prison communication system. When she leaned over and kissed him, it sealed the deal with finality. He had to admit to himself that he did in fact trust her and would do anything she asked. Selima smiled and placed on her bright, gaudy orange sunglasses and matching orange scarf. The Arctic fox assailant grinned and exited the rusted, beat-up old SUV. As she strolled towards Stillwater Restaurant, Selima decided that she was going to ditch Basil. Too much drama. Once they were out of town, she'd strand him somewhere on the side of the road and take off with the car and the money. Her grin widened as she pulled the diner door open, causing the overhead bell to chime loudly. Inside, the restaurant was nearly empty. Behind the cook's counter, a lone hawk gazed at her out of the corner of his eye before quickly returning to the fried potatoes he seemed overly interested in. The waitress was a plus-sized zebra with an overly friendly smile. The zebra pulled out a pad and a pen, as if she'd been waiting for Selima all night. What'd it be, dear? The copper fox sat down in front of the zebra waitress and said, Water. Selima gazed around the rest of the nearly vacant restaurant. The only other patron was a hyena seated in a far booth, face firmly planted in a copy of the Central newspaper. Selima cleared her throat and waited. She didn't wait long. The door burst open and in strolled the Tasmanian devil in his dingy gray hoodie and shredded denim jeans. He withdrew his 2 empty revolvers and screeched, This is a robbery! Selima screamed in an excessively dramatic fashion. Basil jogged over to her and promptly threw his arm around her neck. Then the devil menacingly waved an empty gun. Give me all the cash, now! Do as he says, Selima yelled the instruction louder than Basil. The hawk, the zebra, and the hyena all suddenly stood and drew sidearms that Basil didn't even know they possessed. All the firearms were aimed at him, and the devil didn't have any bullets. Hire revealed his official badge of police office and dictated, You're both under arrest. Hands in the air. Basil immediately did as he was told, releasing Selima, much to her chagrin. What are you doing? She impatiently urged in his ear. Selima Hoyes, Officer Zeeby, the imposter waitress, also withdrew her badge. You're wanted for 4 counts of armed robbery. Officer Allen emerged seemingly from nowhere, 2 service pistols in each hand. May as well give it up. Selima spun, startled and frustrated. Wait, I'm the victim here. Basil was being placed in handcuffs by Zeeby as the real perpetrator. Selima Hoyes began to feel cornered and desperate. She was so taken off balance by her cunning plan being foiled She wasn't paying attention to what was happening outside. The Arctic Fox was greeted outside by 4 police SUV cruisers, all with lights blaring. Several Owl and Doberman officers stood, aiming their weapons at her. Salima was surrounded. Inside, Basil was being formally charged. A rhinoceros stepped forward with a megaphone. "Salima Hoyes, turn yourself in!" The fox was caught. She screamed in rage and shame as she placed her hands behind her head. Her rageful shouts echoed through the rain-slicked streets as the officers placed her in the back of a police car. The face of Jane Whiteley became illuminated by softened halogen lamps as the digital camera sprang to life. "And there you have it!" The local news anchor tilted her face so that her elegant, white Persian cat features caught the soft light of the setting sun. With the aid of a specialized task force using proprietary deductive reasoning software, the Midland Police Department has put a stop to this reign of robberies. She turned to the owner, Alvin Soto, for comment. The Alsatian adopted a sleazy grin. "I'm happy to have been point on this group which brought much-deserved justice to misaligned miscreants." Charlie Apenut stood behind the police line with his arms crossed in disapproval as he watched his boss lie to the local news. Zimani strolled up next to him and asked, "Since when is your boss so interested in helping out the local community?" "Oh, he's not." Charlie shook his head as he watched. He remarked, "Alvin Soto isn't interested in doing the right thing. He's interested in the free publicity." Zimani couldn't help but smile at this. Some things never change. "Indeed," Charlie said. He turned to his buddy. "I hear all of this was possible because of this newly developed software you created. For detective reasoning, right? I mean, maybe the future of criminology is all in AI? Replace cops with cybernetics altogether?" Zimani speculated. I don't know about that, Charlie. Ultimately, I've created another tool, a useful tool, to be certain, but just a tool. Computers can't compensate for human intuition or experience." Zimani began to walk off. Charlie stopped him. "Wait, where are you headed, buddy? Don't you want to catch the encore?" As the magenta sun nestled into the distant hills, rays of crimson luminescence cast their reflection on the rain-slicked buildings and streets. The glass of the windows and doors appeared ablaze. Downtown was consumed in a beautiful burgundy brilliance. Zimani shook his head. "No, I think I'm going to take a walk." He bid his friend Charlie a good night, then waited past the flashing lights of the police, and Zimani strolled off into the sunset.